here we go again. Morphy's game to chess. We got game 5. Morphy's in the second round of the American Chess Congress. His opponent, A.B. Meek, went down in flames in the first game. All right, so what do we got in store? Morphy's got the white pieces. Oh, look out. Oh, this is going to be a good one, folks. You're not going to forget it. Probably my favorite up until this point. All right, here we go. Morphy kicks it off with E4. Any surprise? A king-pawn game, folks. Morphy loved the E-pawn push. Prelude to violence. Open lines and lots of attacks and tactics and combinations and, oh boy, all right, let me hold on to my hat. Here we go now. Meek plays the French defense, E6. We haven't seen this one yet. As you know, Thompson tried, when he had the black pieces, the one game out of the 3, he tried the Sicilian defense with C5, taking control of the D4 square, right? And then in the other games, we saw Morphy hitting with E5, you know, staking the claim in the center, mano-a-mano, toe-to-toe with white, right? Again, controlling D4, occupying E5 square, right? So look at this one, the French defense, folks, French defense, huh? Look at this, E6. Now, the idea behind this is Morphy plays D4, right? He controls the center with the 2 pawns, okay? He occupies the center, classical opening here, occupying the center with your pawns. You're controlling the center with those pawns, all right? The idea with the French, the E6 supports the D5 pawn push, all right? Look at that, folks. You're staking a claim in the center now with the D5 pawn opposed to the E5 pawn, right? Okay, all right, a little different angle here, a little different strategy. Now, get a load of this. Get a load of this now. Here's Meek, right? He doesn't play the typical move. He doesn't play D5. You see that 99 times out of 100 when someone plays E6, you know right off the bat, all right, he's playing the French. But he doesn't do this yet. Guess what he does, folks? Look at this one. G6, huh? Let me get a drink of water here, folks. I need a drink after that one. G6, folks. All right. I got the book in my hand. If you've been following me in the first 4 games, I refer to it as the Bible, folks, the knowledge contained in this book. I'm going to try to give it to you as best I can. All right? You're going to absorb the knowledge, right? They put a question mark. I'm not making it up. The old masters, folks, they put a question mark to Meek's G6. Why is this? Why is this? All right. The reason is, let's put it to you this way. I think it was Emmanuel Lasker said, 2 pawn pushes is all you need. 2 pawn pushes in the opening to get all your pieces out, right? Let's think about this. Look, the knights, as you know, they don't need any pawn push, right? They leap right into battle. Okay. The bishop, right? Morphy starts with that E4. Look at this, folks. The king bishop ready to leap out, right? All right, so Meek hit with that, plays that E5, right? Getting ready for that king bishop to come out, right? On the dark squares. All right, Morphy plays D4. Now, not only is he controlling those center squares, which bears repeating, right? But now, look at it. He opens up the line. Look, Meek plays this one, right? Now he opens up the line for this bishop. So both bishops are ready to leap into battle. The knights, of course, can come into battle. Look, we only moved 2 pawns, right? We're going to get these guys out. The king side pieces out, castle quickly, right? Now, let's look at what Meek did. Meek moved the E6 pawn. Yes, it supports. What's that knight flying around there for? Look, it's white's move, right? Okay, look, Morphy plays D3, all right? That's where he plays. This is going to be a key square, a key player in the king side attack. You're going to see why he puts it on D3 as the game unfolds, okay? Now, look. Yes, E6, I was going to say E6 is to support the D5 pawn push, but also it unleashes your king bishop, right, to come in the game. But now look what you did, genius. You just pushed the G6 pawn. You're not consistent with. You got the one diagonal for the bishop already, and now you're opening a second one. All right. So here we go. Meek plays the bishop to here. This is why he plays G6, right? Now, another reason, which is this can be considered not so great is that you're weakening all those dark squares around your king. If you're castle king side, you're weakening all these squares, f6, h6. You see, if this pawn was still on, if it was still on d6, if this pawn was still on d6, at least the f6 square would still be covered a bit, right? All right, anyway, folks, we're going to see other French defenses. We're going to see other games. We'll touch on it some more, but just to note, let's keep it simple, right? Meek pushes the 2 pawns, like Emmanuel Lasker said. 2 pawn pushes is a general rule to get all your pieces out, right? It's a general rule. You always got to play off your opponent, right? You see what he's doing. Who knows what you got to push, all right? But anyway, to develop your pieces, 2 pawn pushes is all you need. Well, here Meek plays 2 pawn pushes, basically for the 1 bishop there. What about your other bishop on the queen side? Come on, dumb me up. Come on, you see what I'm saying? It's not consistent. He's already contradicted himself. All right, anyway, okay, here we go. Let's see what happens, right? Morphy's got to prove it, right? All right, so Meek developed the bishop to g7. He's attacking this d4 pawn, right? All right, develop them pieces, kids. Come on, get those pieces into the battlefield. All right, here he is. Morphy develops the queen bishop to e3, protecting the d4 pawn. All right, fine. Now, look, I want to mention something very, very interesting here. I got to mention it to us. Attacking Morphy-style chess players. Here we go. Budding champions, right? Adolf Anderssen, the great Austrian attacker, right? Unofficial chess world champion, okay, at the time. Morphy plays him in the book down the road in Morphy's career. In this book, in Morphy's Games of Chess, it's game 59, folks. Anderssen has this position, right? And he plays, boom, he hits with c5, right? And Morphy had in their game, I'll go back, well, I'm not going to get into it, but he played c3. Okay, the game went on, right? We'll get to that when we'll cross that road when we get there. Whatever, what's the saying? You cross that bridge when you get to it, right? All right, but I wanted to point out, get a load of this. Folks, what if you just take the pawn? Take the pawn. All right, he gets his pawn back, and look at what's happening, folks, if you didn't see it. He's going to win the exchange, no doubt about it, right? All right, you develop a piece, so you get this bishop, right? The bishop takes the rook. All right, you get the bishop back for it. But you gave up the exchange, right? But look at what you got, folks. I take this position every day of the week. Look at this. You got 3 minor pieces developed to black's none, huh? Look at the queen now on the long dark diagonal across the board. Look, she's aiming at that black rook over here on h8. All right, now you can't block it out like this because, folks, then you lose the knight. Look at this. You pin it, you win it. There's no other piece that can help out that knight, okay? So you would throw it away. You just throw it into the wind. All right? So now the only way to save the rook, so you don't throw that piece away, is to play f6. Another pawn move, folks. No piece is developed. Now get a load of this one too, right? Get a load of this. Look. I mean, whether you do it right away or not, but let me just point it out. Look, you throw the knight up here, right? Let's say he puts this knight. Look at this square, folks. Look at this square. The knight would come to d6, an outpost. Remember, let me bang the book. Come on, wake up, you. Banging the book already so early in the game, right? Hypotheticals, I got to slap you awake. Look at this. The knight comes to d6. A beautiful outpost. Remember the last game against Meek, we covered outposts. We brought it up for the first time. Look at this outpost. No c-pawn for black to boot it away. No e-pawn. Well, the e-pawn's on e6, folks. They can't go backwards, remember? So there's no e-pawn that could boot that knight away. Forget about it. White gave up the exchange, right? But now he gets this knight up there. That knight is as strong as a rook, folks. What a thorn in the side. I tell you, that's a dagger. That's a dagger in the side, folks, this knight. Look at it. It keeps this d-pawn from moving up, which blocks in the bishop. The bishop's blocked in, which blocks in this rook from getting in the game. Folks, it has a chain reaction. Black's pieces are cramped. White has all the space advantage. Look at all this nice space advantage. The board plays itself. You're going to bring your knight out, right? You're going to bring your knight out. You're going to maybe bring it to e2. I don't even know. I didn't really look that deep. You bring it anywhere, then you're going to castle. Forget it, folks. You're going to apply pressure to black. I mean, heck, and you know what? Look at this. Look at this. You can play off the fact that that rook is this pawn is pinned, so this square could even be. Look, let's just play a move. I don't know, just play something, right? This move, look, you could even come to g5 if the pawn takes. You win the rook over here. You understand? This is ugly for black. Ugly. I give up the exchange every day of the week to have piece action like this. As a Morphy player, I'm always happy to sacrifice pawns, to sacrifice the exchange. Heck, even to sacrifice a piece. If I'm going to give black a difficult defensive game where he's back on his toes, backpedaling, and I got all the piece action and he's awkwardly placed and cramped, oh, forget it. I do it every day of the week. All right, so anyway, I digress, folks. I digress. Yes, this is game 59. This is coming down the road, right? Again, Morphy against Anderson. He plays c3, all right? Plays c3. So I digress. Getting into this one, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? Okay. So let's see what we got. So yeah. So Meek develops the piece to g7. Okay, the bishop. And Morphy defends his pawn on d4 with his bishop. Okay, now here comes the knight. Meek brings his knight, his king knight. He's got his two king side pieces out, all right, developed. So that's pretty good. He's going to try to get castled. And I guess the idea, the logic with this e6 and bishop g7, as you can see, Morphy develops his knight, okay? He gets ready to castle. But the idea with Meek is to not to block out. Normally, you'd bring the knight to f6, right? But he doesn't want to block the scope of the bishop for now, so he brings it there. All right, like I said, Morphy develops the knight to e2, develop them pieces, get them out. Now, look, I want to show you something funny. Here we go. Look at this one. So now Meek plays this, all right? What do you think he's going to do there, right, folks? I mean, like I said, he had to move a pawn, either the D pawn or the B pawn, to get this queen bishop developed. All right, he's going to bring it to B7, okay? So now here we go. Look at Morphy. Look at this, folks. Have you ever seen this one? I can't recall, folks. Look at this piece pattern, huh? Two pawns, two bishops, two knights. How do you like that one, huh? It looks pretty, right? But look, there's logic behind it, folks. There's logic. I'll give it to you straight. Right. Real simple, okay? All right, Meek develops the bishop to b7, like I said. Okay, fine. All right, now look. With the knights on d2 and e2, they don't oppose to f3 and c3, right? Opposed to this knight over here and this knight over there, right? They don't block the f pawn. We got the f pawn, the f bomb. We're going to launch that one, perhaps, right? And this one too, folks. This one could move. Maybe strengthen with c3. You strengthen the d4 pawn, back it up, right? You blunt that scope of that bishop over there on g7, the enemy bishop that Meek put over there. All right, so you keep those knights off those two files, so you can put those pawns up if you want, which is both. That's what's coming. All right. Let me give you the little hint. All right. Anyway. With Meek developing the bishop over here, right? He develops Morphy castles. Boom. Get that king tucked into safety, all right? Here we go. We're going to rip open lines. We're going to go on the attack. We got our king tucked away, all right? Very good. All right, now what does Meek do? Here he is, folks. Get a load of this one. Here it comes. D5 now, folks, all right? That's part of the French defense. The E6 pawn supports the D5 pawn push. All right. All right. Now get a load of this, folks. Let's think. Let's just use common sense, right? Should Morphy take this pawn? Should he just go ahead and take it? Look, folks. What are you doing? What are you doing? Look, if the knight takes, all right, it doesn't matter. Let's just say, even to make it simple, if the bishop takes, look at the scope of this bishop now, right? Just to throw in a dumb move. Look at this. Look at this scope. Why are you going to open up the diagonal for your enemy? Why are you going to make it easy for him to go on the attack, right? I mean, can you imagine this? You don't want to do something like that. Come on, folks. I mean, look, and if he takes with the knight, just another note. All right, we traded off some pawns. Looks like the game's going to open up. And you know, folks, if black wants now, there's nothing white can do. Black can take the bishop here on his next move. Because look, folks, where's this bishop going to go? Look, you can't go here or here. The knight takes, right? The queen takes, the bishop takes. He's going to lose the bishop pair. You see what I'm saying? Let's just make a move, any move, whatever you want to do, right? I don't know if this is good for black, but the point is he does have the bishop pair now. I mean, you know, it's a whole other game. But the bottom line, in either way, whether black gets the bishop pair or not, folks, why open the scope for your enemy? Look at this piece. It's a shining star now. It's going to be so influential throughout the game. No way. No way! Come on, common sense now. This is common sense chess. What do you think Morphy does, huh? What do you think the hero does? He pushes the pawn. Come on, folks. Come on, get with it. All right, makes sense. Look, he pushes the pawn to e5, okay? Now, look at the difference, folks. Look at this bishop. He's blocked in. Remember what we said, folks? He's a bad bishop now, folks. He's a bad bishop. The pawn on d5 blocks his scope. All right, so, all right, if he moves it over here or he has to reposition it, he's going to waste time moving it, right? Right now, he's got a bad bishop. Maybe the game will open up. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But, folks, we're definitely not going to take. We're definitely not going to take because we saw what that does, right? All right, now look at this. e5, very interesting, folks. Games 1 through 4 were open games. The pawns in the center got traded off, and it was a wide open board, pieces flying around. The bishops love it. The bishops love the open board. The diagonals cut through like butter, right? All right, so now what do we got? We got what's called a closed game, meaning the pawns in the center are all locked up. The D pawn and E pawns, they can't trade off with one another. They can't trade. So they're locked up. They create what's called a pawn chain. Now look, what's going to happen long ago, the great Philidor, one of the first chess philosophers, right? He had a line that still sticks with us today. The quote was, "Pawns are the soul of chess." And there's a lot of truth to that. It's a beautiful line because as measly as the pawn is, they actually dictate your plans of attack and your strategies and where you're going to play, right? Now here I'm going to give you one because in all different openings you end up with different pawn structures. And depending on the pawn structure is with experience you start to gain the knowledge of how you're going to use your pieces to fit in with that scheme, with that pawn formation, right? Pawn structure. Okay, so here's one in the French to understand. And in many blocked, closed games, right, what's going to happen is you look at the pawn chain, and if, whose move is it? Is it black's move? Okay, it's black's move, right? All right, now look at this. Analyze this. Look, just observe, I should say, observe. I'll use the king as a pointer because I don't have a cursor, all right? You got the f7 pawn. You got the e6 pawn. You got the d5 pawn, right? Okay. They're pointing in this direction, look. So that means that black should be playing over here in this area where he'll have more room, more space. With more space on the queen side, his pieces will have better scope, and he could play on the queen side, which means he'll usually attack these white pawns. He'll try to win a pawn. Maybe if he can, he'll have one of his queenside pawns as a pass pawn. Okay? Let me just look at this position too. After the pawn push and Morphy goes up, Meek castled, okay? All right. Now I'll use white's king as a cursor, okay? Look. All right, now white only has these two pawns. Usually the c3 pawn will come here, so it'll be like a pawn chain going this way, right? You could even see d4 and e5 are pointing which way? They're pointing this way, towards the enemy king, towards the king side. Where does his pieces have more space and better scope? On the king side. This is why, folks, Remember I said key to this attack is going to be this light squared bishop. Look at him aiming down at the king already. Look at the scope of this guy. Not to mention, look at the queen bishop. Look at the scope of Morphy's bishops aiming over there. It's playing itself, folks. It's telling you. It's screaming. King side attack. That's what we have to go for. Now, look, in a lot of these close games, I notice a lot of philosophy or ideas, all right, more than just strict moves to this particular game. But the point is, you're going to see in your chess games, when the center is locked, you play where your pawns point. You play where you have more space, okay? And you're going to see lots of games between grandmasters. At the highest levels, this happens. And what happens is it's usually white's kingside attack against black's queenside pressure, right, to try to maybe get a pass pawn. What happens is if white's attack fizzles out, he's usually busted. He has a worse endgame. And black wins the endgame because he either has a pass pawn or even his structure is still better because white throws everything in a kingside attack. You're throwing pawns, you're throwing everything at that king. Well, if you don't get him, your structure is ruined, and it's black who wins the endgame. You know, this game, folks, there's so much to it. I'm telling you, I love this game. I've said it many times. There's so much to the game of chess. You're wondering why it's around for thousands of years, right? All right, this is why, folks, the beauty of this game. I'm just trying to present it to you. Maybe you appreciate it as much as I do. All right. So anyway, let's get to the game. I know I've been yapping. All right, I could do that. All right, I tend to do it. All right, anyway, let's get to it. What does Morphy play, folks? Kingside attack, baby. Launch the F-bomb. Here it comes. He's going to push these pawns and try to rip open lines and get those pieces. They're going to fly right into the attack. All right, here we go. Oh, and to mention, folks, too, look at white's space advantage. He's got a pawn right here on E5. He's actually in enemy territory. We got the outpost, folks. Look at the F6 square outpost. Oh, if I could get a knight in there, baby, it'll be a dream. And if black has to take him out with the bishop, he'll trade off his bishop for a beautiful knight that gets there. All right, so now I got rid of the defender of the dark squares, and these squares become weak. Folks, these are attacking ideas. Just keep them in mind, all right? If we don't see it this game, we'll see it down the road. All right, here we go. Here we go, baby. All right, so now look at Meek. He blunts the advance of this pawn, folks. He plays F5, all right, his own F pawn to stop the momentum. Okay, look at this now. Do we take en passant, folks? Remember that move from last game? If you haven't seen the last game, I advise you watch it. Learn the en passant move. See, the computer knows. Look at that. If you take because this guy's a coward, right? Normally pawns move one, but as on the first move, you could leap him 2 moves up, right? But look, he's passing this guy, so we could take him right away, right after that coward runs by you. You have the option of taking him as if he moved 1 square. That's in passing. It's, I think, French. Pawn en passant. Would we want to do this, folks? No, because like I said, now look, where's our outpost on the F6 square, right? Now look at the rook. Look at the black rook scope beaming down the F file, right? Now he's got more piece action there with the rook. The bishop comes to life a little more. The dark diagonal starting to open up. No way, folks. We don't want to do this. We want to keep this guy in the game, and we still control this square. It's still an outpost. All right, black's got it covered by these 2, right? But still, folks, it's an outpost. We're going to try to rip open lines. All right, so what does Morphy do now? All right, let me check it out here. I got the book right here. Here we go. What are we looking at? All right. Okay. So after F5, right, Meek replies to Morphy's F4 with F5, okay? So now, here we go. Watch Morphy playing H3, huh? Look at this. All right, we're going to see what happens. It's going to unfold. It's going to unfold. All right, here we go. So now, Meek plays his knight. Develop the piece. Look, he's catching up. He's got to just develop that last minor piece. All right. So now he's catching up. But now, folks, you want to take note also, in closed games, rapid development isn't as important because it's a little slower, okay? Usually there's time to maneuver and you move your pieces around. I'll tell you, the game of chess, it's crazy. I mean, certain rules, they flip-flop and they change, and it's really something. It's just through experience you get a feel, all right, folks? You get a feel of how the game plays itself out, and you know what to do. Don't worry about it. All right, so now with this knight developing, okay, I'll show you the idea. Look, Morphy now moves his king to h2, huh? How about that one? Look, he wants to get off the G file. You'll see why. But look, would I want to do it? Would I want to put him there? Well, maybe not, folks, because you remember this bishop down here. Let's not put him on the diagonal if you don't have to, right? So look at Morphy. He puts it. He wants to move it over off the G file, so he moves it to G2. Makes sense, right? There's no king bishop. There's no king bishop on this diagonal, right? All right. So here we go. He's looking pretty good. All right. He moves the king over there. All right. So now the move. Look, you got Meek played knight to D7 last, right? This could support his queen side advance. What does he do, folks? He hits him with C5, of course. All right. Now, folks, do we want to take again? Do we want to take? Come on, dummy up. Look. Now, all right, they trade pawns. Black brings another pawn towards the center, right? White loses a center pawn. Black gains another pawn closer to the center. And look, besides that, look, folks, do what you want. Look, develop the knight. Do whatever, right? Look, folks, look at what happens. You lose the bishop, folks. You just lost a piece, right? Not only that, folks, look at what we talked about. He could even, if that wasn't even available, he could just, look, you're developing that light square bishop scope. Look at this, folks. Come on. The bishop comes to life, right? These pawn moves, I told you, the pawns, the solar chess, they're weaklings on the board, right? But, folks, they're such key to the type of game that you're going to have, whether your attack's successful or not, whether your pieces have good piece action or not, right? All right, anyway, Morphy, no problem. Look, here comes the pawn, right? Uh-oh, he could advance, right? He could, let's do a dumb move. Again, still, he could advance. Trap him, right? Win a piece, all right. No problemo. C3 supports the D4 pawn, creates scope. Meek pushes ahead. He pushes ahead after that bishop, all right. No big deal. Morphy slides it back to C2. All right, that calls for a little water break. All right, folks, I'm yelling. I'm trying to get it through to you. Pay attention and don't fall asleep, folks. The real excitement's going to open up now. Get ready. Now watch this. Apply the pressure and take over the initiative, right? And have the other guy answering every move, right? Who's going to be dictating, who's going to be answering, okay? Responding to the opponent's move. Look at this. Look at this. A6. What does Morphy got to worry about there? Come on, folks. The queen side attack's too slow. Here comes Morphy, right? Here he comes. He brings the knight. Brings another, the queen knight. He's getting it over to the king side. Look at this. He comes to F3, right? Ready to jump to G5. All right. Meek keeps the knight out off of G5 because look at this. Like throwing a monkey wrench, right? These knights, they get up in your face and they look at this already. Threat to fork, win the exchange. I mean, forget about it. All right, so he keeps him back. He keeps him back with H6. Good move by Meek. All right, but guess what, folks? Look at this. Now, this G6 pawn, folks, doesn't have a brother protecting him. All right, this G6 pawn. All right, because if you look, the H7 pawn, by moving up, he leaves the defense of this guy. All right, black has the E7 knight protecting him, right? Okay, now get a load of this. Watch this one, folks. Here comes Morphy, right? I believe he pushes the pawn. He pushes the pawn. Here it comes, folks. That's right. If I keep I'm in the dark here, in the garage, in my car. I need my reading glasses. This is why I'm taking forever. I'm just making sure I give it to you straight. All right, so the knight came up, the pawn comes up, and now Morphy launches the pawn up here. G4, baby. Pressure in the F5 square. He wants to rip open lines, all right? Looks like he's going to rip open the G file. So here you go. Watch this. I'll show you why. Here comes the... Meek knows it's coming. The G file's going to open, so he wants to get his king off of there. You could see Morphy already did so, right? Morphy, a couple of moves back, he played king to... move 11, king to H2, right? He's going to rip open the G file. See? Morphy plays the rook, plays the rook to G1, and Meek follows. He wants to counter. He wants to contest this G file when it opens up. All right? Now, get a load of this. How does Morphy even know that the G file is going to open? And how does Meek figure it out also, right? Because look, Morphy knows that Meek doesn't want to take here, right? Why? Because when I take back, when Morphy would take back on G4, you see this square, folks? No outpost for the knight. There's no outpost. That would be a beautiful square for the knight, right? And then eventually, White, I don't know, just make a dumb move. Look, White's going to, maybe not yet, but he'll eventually build up to push F5, start attacking the base of the pawn chain. This is the base of the pawn chain now, right? You got the C4, D5. You start ripping open lines to get to that king. I'm threatening, to either trade here, get the scope of my bishops ripping open down to that enemy king. You get the knights flying in, the queen flying in. You're opening the files. Yes, White's king is exposed too now that the pawns are gone, right? But Black's pieces are in no position to attack the white king. Again, Black's pawns point to the queen side. He doesn't have coordination to get to the white king. It's not natural. This is falling right into White's play. You understand? This is what White wants because his pieces are already set up to naturally play for a kingside attack. That's why if you ever have a game and sometimes you play and you just destroy your opponent, it's usually because your pieces were coordinated even if you didn't realize it with the pawn structure and everything you did happened to be the right plan. That's why your game just rips. It just rips open and you attack and you love it. And you're like, damn, I played that game so well. Then other games, you're so frustrated, you don't know why your game collapsed. You probably chose the wrong plan for your pawn position, you see. So sometimes there's players that love to attack all the time, but your pawns aren't saying that you should be attacking. You understand? Your structure isn't designed to attack. So that's why those don't succeed. This is where the grandmasters, through experience, through the game after game, they start to understand and study these pawn structures. They understand the plans and where you have a good plan or not, where to go, And that comes with experience. What you're going to gain from these games is how to play the open game, how to rip open lines and attack. That's for sure, folks. And I'm going to give it to you best I can. All right, so the point of this, too, is that this square is not available to the black knight, right? So look, this is what Meek is hoping. Meek's hoping Morphy takes. If black takes again, to summarize, if black takes, no outpost on F5, right? Because this G pawn could boot him out, keeps him out, right? But look at this. Meek plays here. He doesn't want to take on G4. He's hoping Morphy takes, right? And now he's got the, look at the outpost, folks. No pawn. Where's that G pawn? Where did he go? Look. Hey, the H pawn can't reach from over there, right? There's no G pawn to boot him out. And there's no the E pawn passed, right? The E pawn's on E5. Can't boot him out either. This is a beautiful outpost. All right. So you're saying get rid of that knight. But, folks, by doing this, right, you just gave up a key attacker in this attacking scheme. A key soldier to this attack. That king bishop is key, folks. You're going to see how, all right? That king bishop, you want to hold him. I mean, this is why you don't even give the black knight this beautiful outpost on F5. No way. No way. Because then you might have to, the best route might be to actually have to take that guy. I mean, you don't want to get rid of your king bishop. All right. Simply put, right? Morphy doesn't want to take on f5 yet. He doesn't want to have to trade the bishop on c2 for it, right? All right, so like I said, that g-file Morphy's going to eventually take when the time is right. Again, closed position, you can maneuver and rip open the lines when you want, okay? As long as you're, not losing the pawn and stuff, you got to analyze. Right here, Morphy's repositioning the rook to the g-file, okay? He's getting ready to rip open that g-file. Meek plays his rook over also. He knows what's coming. He wants to be able to battle for that g-file when it opens. All right, here comes the queen, right? Queen to e1. Maybe he could swing it up into the attack on this diagonal, right? From just for instance, look, I'll just move a piece. He wants to maybe swing the queen up into the attack at some point, right, on this diagonal. Or maybe the queen supports the knight coming here, right? All right. That queen, that's the queen knight, folks. That's not the king knight. That one came from b1. See, he's building it up. Those pieces, you want to overload the defenders. You want more attackers than defenders when you're going after the enemy king. All right. All right, so what does Meek do at this point? Get a load of this, folks. And I gotta check the book because I think this is a question mark, folks. I think it's a question mark. Yes. The old masters, folks. Look at this question mark. Dubious move. Knight to c6, huh? Well, wait a minute. Black wants the queen side, attack. He wants his pieces where they have more scope, more space, right? He's going to launch his queen side pawns. Folks, do you notice the momentum that Morphy's getting? His king side attack, the pawns are already touching over here on the king side. The lines are going to rip open already. He's moving the knight, He should have abandoned this knight going to the queen side. He's going to need it to defend on the king side, all right? Morphy's attack is gaining steam. All right, so what does Morphy do? Look at this. He brings the knight to h4, bearing down again on the f5 square, folks, a key square in this position. That's why this knight, he should be back here still fighting for this square, right? All right, anyway. What does Morphy do? I mean, what does Meek? All right. What does Meek do? All right. The old masters in the book, folks, I'm going to give it to you. They recommend knight here. They said it compulsory. Is that the word? Is that a word, folks? Again, I don't have here it is. It's hard to see without my glasses. Knight to f8 was compulsory, right? Now, the knight comes back defending these key points, right? But look at this. Even now, I played this position against Shredder, right? And I sacked the knight on that key f5 square. I get those pawns, all right. I get 2 pawns. There's a check on the board. Wait a minute. All right, king moves back. Now get a load of this. Look, you could try it out, this position, okay? Yes, white gave up a piece for only 2 pawns, right? But folks, look at the scope of these bishops. I believe I pulled my bishop back. I'm going to get ready to launch the pawns, the F pawn, the E pawn, those bishops, the scope, the aiming down at that king. I mean, it's a game, folks. It's still a game. My knight's going to maybe jump to F. Once this pawn starts to march, I'm going to come behind the pawn. The pawns are going to move up the board like battering rams, okay? And we're going to throw those bishops scope. They're going to open up the scope of those bishops. My queen's going to swing into the attack. I got the open G-file. I mean, yeah, it's a game, folks. Who knows? Maybe a grandmaster could hold it against me if I make a subtle mistake. Right? Right? It's a game. Let's get back to Morphy's game. Right? The Morphy game and what Meek actually did. This is what the old masters say, knight to f8, right? And I say, rip it open, sack the piece, go for it, baby. Go for that king, right? All right, look, here's the logic behind it. I mean, the pieces are still on the board, but I say that with good piece action, aiming at that enemy king, yes, black still has the extra piece, but The knight on c6 is out of play. The bishop on b7 is still out of play. Yeah, they're on the board, so they could come into the play. Maybe I got time, to take advantage before they could do that. And I put pressure on black and he cracks. That's my logic, okay? Anyway, let's see what the master himself does, right? Meek plays this move. He plays this, and if you notice, once you take, and if I tried that idea, sacking, right? The queen's now protected. I don't have to follow up with taking with check and starting the attack, and I only get one. What is it? I get one pawn for the piece? No good, right? I have this pass pawn, protected pass pawn, but still, folks, all black has to do, right? Let me just show you. He just has to plant a knight on e6. He's got the extra piece. He could just plant the knight here, right? I'm not looking at it tactically. I don't really know what's going on, but just structural, like strategy and positional. He could just put this stop this e5 pawn from advancing. He's got the extra knight now, okay? And he trades off and he winds down the game to an ending where basically he's up one piece to white's none, right? So get a load of this. So that's why you can't sack on f5, right? But now, folks, get a load of this. Hold on to your hat, all right? Get ready, because this is like I said. This is, I think, this is where Morphy shines, okay? This is a Morphy-esque type game, right? What does Morphy do here? We're talking about the f5 square. We're focusing on it, right, folks? We're focusing on f5, but did you see it, folks? Did you see the move on the board that Morphy rips open the position and he starts a vicious attack? Knight takes on g6. He's lost his mind, folks. Look at this. Is it crazy? Well, let's see what happens. Meek grabs the knight. Holy smokes, what's going on? Look at this, folks. Pawn takes pawn. Double check. The rook is open now on the g-file. Yes, Morphy has finally opened the g-file with vicious consequences. Look at this. Now the king is on g6, double attack, because the pawn on f5 is nipping at his rear end. Look at this. He's biting at his toes. Look at him. So now, here we go. If the king slips over there, pawn takes pawn. Folks, with a discovered check. Look at this check down the diagonal. Look at this king bishop. I told you, folks, a key attacker in this formation. Now the king moves back. Morphy's going to pick up the knight he just sacked. He's going to pick up the knight he just sacked. And he's up, what is he? He's up 3 pawns, folks, and you got a pass pawn. You got a pawn on the 7th ready to go in for promotion. You could even protect him eventually with your other pawns, folks. Forget about it. Okay, so what does Meek do? I gotta take a breath, right? That's a mouthful, folks. It's a mouthful. Get ready, though, folks. This is when the action and excitement hits you. Look at this now. Meek throws the king to f7. He doesn't go to h7. He sees that's a waste of time, total loss, all right? He comes back to f7. Morphy takes the pawn, right? Attacking, forking the knight and the king. Come on, get out of here. The king's an attacking piece. All right, he takes out the pawns, measly double attack. All right, but here comes Morphy, extending, pushing those pawns up like battering rams. Hello, is Thompson looking over Meek's shoulder? He's going, holy smokes, he's doing it to this guy too. The pawns are marching down the board, holding hands side by side, clearing the paths of all the pieces. Get out of the way. Battering rams, folks. Meek drops the king back to e7. Here comes the queen. Morphy throws the queen on that diagonal. I told you to stay awake. Look at this. Here comes the king, folks. The queen. Here comes the queen attacking that king down the diagonal. All right, what is he gonna do? All right, here he goes. He moves it back, folks. He moves it back. Here comes the pawns, extending the scopes of those bishops. Look at this. Now we're hitting minor pieces and they're scrambling, folks. All right. So Meek, right? He sacks the bishop. He's aiming at the king. Maybe he was hoping for a blundering type of thing. Oh, I'll go in for the rook. You take the queen, I'll take your queen. And then, look at this, folks. Look at this. Somehow, after all the dust settles, Morphy's down a piece, huh? Look at that, okay? So you don't want to do this. You don't want to get fancy, folks. You sacked the knight. Okay, so now you're getting your piece back. All right. So here we go. You take your piece back, and the attack still continues. Morphy, right? His white king tucked away in the side, right? Look at Meek now in the middle, scrambling. He's scrambling to get anywhere. He had castle, but he's ripped open. His castle is destroyed. Now he's scrambling in the center of the board. All right, here we go. So now Meek. I don't know if this was a good idea. He trades rooks. Now Morphy owns the G file. Remember last game? If your two rooks are contesting the open G file, here's Meek trading. Now Morphy owns it. He owns the G file. All right. So now what happens? All right, he goes in for the pawn now with the knight. He goes in with the pawn. Here comes the bishop attacking the king on the light squares. Check. Right. Here comes Meek. Meek throws the king. He's trying to scramble over to the queen side. He's got to maybe get to shelter over there. Here comes the check. He's repositioning the bishop. Look at this. Now Meek goes back. He goes back. Now get a load of this. What just happened? Morphy has Black has the same exact pieces. Look at this. Watch this. You take, right? Look at this position, right? With Morphy's two checks, he just repositions the bishop. Meek goes back. Now, basically, it's the same position, except Morphy has the bishop from C2 to F5. Now, it's really down this diagonal. The H3, C8 diagonal, he's controlling these other two squares, taking escape squares away. All right, so anyway, now comes the other one. Now he swings the other bishop. They're like knives, carving up the black position. Look at this. Now the dark square bishop attacking the queen, folks. Attacking the queen. Now look at this. What are you going to do, folks? You're going to go here, right? Where do you go? Where do you go, folks? Where do you go? Look, you got the check even, right? You got the check. Now, I believe even this wins now. This wins because what's coming, I mean, heck, folks, you got the threats of the queen. Look, okay, let's say he moves, right? Let's say he moves off because where's this guy going to go now? Where's the girl going to go? She can't go anywhere here, those pawns. She can't stay on this diagonal. She can't move to the white diagonal, right? That bishop. If she goes there, I mean, forget it, folks. Look at what's coming, folks. Look at what's coming. What are you going to do, folks? The king's got nowhere to go, right? He can't go here because he goes anywhere, here or here. It doesn't matter, folks. It's over. It's a back rank, mate. Look at this. Like, you got forget the power. The power, folks. All the pieces come to life, right? Where's this going to go? I mean, I'm sure a lot of you experienced players are going and laughing, going, oh, man, it's over for Black. That's right, baby. Look, now where's the queen go? The check means nothing. It means nothing. He could just take over the diagonal over here. The queen's got to move again. Forget it, folks. Forget it. All right, so anyway, look. Meek throws the queen over here. Remember, that queen's got to protect that knight. The queen is protecting the F6 knight because Morphy's got this one on it, right? Okay, get a load of this, folks. Look at this. Rook down to the 7th rank, folks. We talked about it. Rooks to the 7th. Remember in game 2, Thompson threw the rook down there. And then Morphy threw his rook down on the 7th too, right? Rooks to the 7th. Game, we talked about it in sidelines to game 3 when Thompson had that knight on A3 out of play and forget it, all the rooks down to the 7th rank. Wrecking havoc in the position, right? The enemy position. Look at this, folks. The rook, no different. Swinging down to G7. Huh? Where's that dark square bishop now when you need him, huh? Where is he? Look at this. The rook on G7. Just totally dominating the 7th rank. Look at the poor king. What's he going to do? Not for nothing. Like I said, now the queen's scope is blocked. This knight is hanging, folks. Look at this move Meek throws in desperation. He tries to save the knight. Folks, can you believe this? Oh, what, I guess he was hoping for him to come in with mate like this. And, oh, look, you got him. All right? I got it covered. But, folks, come on. Dummy up. Look at this, Morphy. He's the pro. Come on, he's leading this fight. He's 4-0. Look at this. The king has nowhere to go. Where's he going to go? Look, dark squares, right? Can't go here because of the queen. Can't come here because of the rook. 1 square, folks. 1 square. He's in the mating net. He's in the mating net. Here it is. Simple enough. Queen checks. The king's got nowhere to run. Only could block. Game over, folks. It's all over. The attack. The vicious attack. The most vicious attack we've seen yet in Morphy's games of chess. Right, folks? I told you we had a firecracker in store, folks. This one blew up, right? Blew up on Meek. Holy smokes, what an attack. Folks, there's plenty more where that came from. Where's the victory music? Hold on a second. This one calls for some victory music. We got the streaks, folks. The streaks continue, right? The streaks, let me find it. Where is this one? I got to find it by the maestro. All right, here we go. Here we go. I think I found it. All right, folks, the king does it again. He's 5-0 in the American Chess Congress, huh? Who would have thought of this? Down the unknown kid from New Orleans. Here it is, folks, just the tip of the iceberg. There's plenty more attacks in grand style like this coming up. We're just getting started, baby. We're just warming up. And look at this kid. He's going for the sweep of me. Get the brooms out, baby. Get the brooms out. Come on, you got to join us. You got to join us and see what Morphy has in store next. Come on. Join me, baby.